Well, today I got an active speaker system for you that was designed right here in the good old US of A and built in a land far away. I don't know about those things. Yeah, why don't you just crack open a Lone Star and set a spell and let me talk at you for a few minutes, all right? Howdy, I'm Bob, and you, my friends, are back in the United States of analog. How you doing out there? I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I thought I would crack open my brand new Stetson Straw Open Road in chocolate. Yeah, this is nice. Stetson, a good American company. We're going to talk about an American company. It's called Vanatoo, and I know that sounds a lot like Xanadu, but have you heard the ELO version? It's pretty tight, pretty tough. You know what, these days there's a lot of talk about where things are made and where things come from, and there's a lot of national pride, you know, that happens. Basically, there's three kinds of situations. Yeah, you can have stuff that's designed in America, built in America, or, you know, in your country, designed in England, built in England, whatever. Or you could have equipment that's designed in your country and built somewhere else. And you can have equipment that's just designed and built in a foreign land somewhere. And we know what that's called. That's called Fun-Fi. But today we're going to talk about Vanatoo and their active speaker system. I call this an instant system because you just plug in any number of cheap components and you've got yourself a real low-cost system with great bass, great sound, great transparency. In fact, these are called the Vanatoo Transparent. The Vanatoo Transparent. Wait a minute. Is it? Wait a minute. These are the Vanatoo Transparent 1 Encore Plus or the T1E Plus, okay? I'm just going to call them the Vanatoos. I'm just going to call them the Vanatoos, all right? Listen, I've been listening to these for a few weeks now, and I've got something to say. Now, again, I'll never tell you what to buy, right? My job is just to present equipment that maybe you haven't got your hands on or your eyes on, right? I'm very fortunate that great companies like Vanatoo, you know, want to send me stuff to audition. And again, these are designed in America, in Seattle, Washington, started by two engineers, Gary and Rick. Gary told me on a phone call today that he started out in the printer business, I think, designing, building printers for someone, and Rick was in the microprocessor space. But they both put their minds together and their passions together to form an audio company. Yeah, that was 2007, where they came together and created Vanatoo. They put their heads together, and they put a lot of thought and experience into these speakers. To kind of foreshadow, I think they have elevated this class of speaker. These are under $700 speakers. Right now, it's the holiday season. You could probably get a smoking deal on these. I'm not sure. I'm not going to get into pricing exactly because it changes by the hour. Yeah, these speakers have some upgraded components and upgraded technology that you might not find on most, you know, powered speakers, active speakers you find on Amazon these days. You know, they do have some competition, but these are very well built, very sturdy, great looking, great sounding. All right, I'm going to work off of my notes as we take a look at these, heading to the Texas coast, so I got to knock out this video tonight. This is real wood veneer. I was kind of surprised at this price level that this kind of satin finish was so nice. Also comes in black. I like the cherry. It's a two-way stereo powered speaker system. Features a 5 1/4 inch aluminum cone woofer, a 1 inch aluminum dome tweeter with a waveguide, and on the back is a long throw passive radiator to give you that deep bass that sometimes this speaker can achieve. Depending on how you set it and how you tune it, you could get down to the 40s with the T1E Plus. Yeah, I picked up the phone today and I called Vanatoo just to see if a human being would answer, and Gary answered. I mean, that's the kind of company they are. They're big enough to make a great product, but they're also small enough to deal with customer service. You're going to get a real human when you call, and he told me a lot about the speakers. He was telling me this woofer in general, this 5 1/4 inch woofer had 15 previous iterations or prototypes before they settled on this. So they weren't just, pushing something out. They put a lot of thought into it. And the aluminum dome tweeter, yeah, it's been put in a waveguide now. Some people are going to love it for its detail and airiness, and other people might find it a little top heavy. But not to worry, there's tone controls here on the back and with the remote, and we can dial it in any way we want. Pretty flexible speaker system, if you ask me. And the amplification, as you've probably guessed, is Class D. You've got 240 watts Class D total. There's 4 separate amps in here, one driving each of the speakers. You've got 20 watts going to each tweeter and 100 watts of Class D power going to each woofer. And remember, the back is a passive radiator. You're going to want to download the manual on the Vanatoo site. And if you dig deep enough in the manual, you'll find other things about bass roll-off and other features that the Vanatoo possess. Yes, the system comes with this included remote control. You can select all the different sources. You also can pair the Bluetooth, and you've got all kinds of treble and bass controls here. So these have what Vanatoo calls the clear bass technology. It's kind of their proprietary bass tuning system, which will allow these to drop down, in some cases, into the 40s. Like anything else, it just depends on how you measure it. But I think you're going to like the bass response for a speaker that's only 10 inches tall. I mean, you got to have realistic expectations for a system like this. It can only do so much, but I think Vanatoo has done a great job squeezing as much bass, and not only bass, but detail as possible out of these speakers. And those are the 2 stars of the show. I'm going to run through all of the stuff on the back of the speaker for you, but let me tell you that the SPDIF samples up to 96K 24-bit. The grills are magnetic, something you don't always see. It's not mandatory at a $700 price point, but they're magnetic here, and that's a nice touch, but I think most people are going to want to keep those off. Yeah, these are great speakers for your office, for your small bedroom, your small room, near field listening. Maybe a sound bar replacement, though as you'll find when I run through the back that it doesn't have any HDMI input. You'll have to use optical if you're going to use this as a television sound bar replacement, but it's possible. The active unit weighs 12 pounds. The passive unit weighs 11 pounds. They're connected by a cable, and I forgot to measure it, so I'll have to put it in the graphics somewhere, or maybe right now. The speakers are 10 inches high, 6.5 wide, and 8.25. Just a little smaller than, say, the Klipsch, the 5s. There's a lot of similarities here, and they both hit the same price point. And again, both designed in America and built abroad. All right, let's check out the back. Let me see if I can lift these up here and not drop them on this turntable. On the back, we have that nice, tight, transparent one, passive radiator, 5.25 inches. You've got knobs for volume, treble, and bass. You have the power input and an on-off switch. You have a subwoofer out here, a single subwoofer out. You know, a lot of speakers in this class don't have subwoofer outs. I connected this to my little Jammo 8-inch sub, and it worked great and gave me a little extra oomph, which was very much appreciated, but not needed, but appreciated. There's a mini analog input. You've got a Bluetooth pairing button. You can select with a switch how these speakers are oriented. You can designate one is right, one is left. USB service input, a USB input for connecting your laptop or similar device. You've got optical in and digital coax in, and you've got that connection port to connect that cable to the other speaker. There's a lot going on here. They're hefty, they're tight. The construction, the build quality is super nice. I mean, all these finishes are very seamless and very smooth, and you got that aluminum dome, which is kind of unusual. The aluminum tweeter. Oh, and on the front you have this IR sensor and then an LED light to just give you a confirmation when you're pressing buttons on the remote control. Now, before we get into the sound, I do want to give you one tip, because sometimes the volume control on the back could be at odds with the volume control here. When you're first setting this up and you're using the remote for the first time, go ahead and dial the volume here on the back of the speaker all the way down, just so it doesn't, blast at you unexpectedly when you connect your source. That's just a little tip from your friend Bob. Setup was simple. You don't have to mess with an app. I mean, apps are great, but I don't always want to, spend the time setting up an app and dialing things in. This is a very hands-on experience, kind of an analog digital experience. Very hands-on and very simple to use, and I call this kind of the instant system, because all you need to start playing music and to have audiophile sound is to connect something simple like this Weem Pro, or you can use the Weem Mini, maybe a turntable, an inexpensive turntable that has a built-in phono preamp. There isn't a phono preamp in here. Or maybe one of those small CD players that are all the rage. Maybe you could just grab one of your old DVD players and use it as a CD player. Just plug the optical or the coax right into the back of this and let the DSP that's inside of here, the digital sound processing, handle the rest. And you can get a DVD player, use it as a CD player for pennies on the dollar at something like Goodwill. I do that all the time. I find all kinds of stuff. I found a SACD player one time for like $10. Look around and you could have a nice system for under $1,000 with the Vanatoo T1E Plus. All right, that's a mouthful. Transparent One Encore Plus. All right. Thanks, Gary and Rick, for naming it that. I'll let you do the video next time. So now for the sound, I had this set up in my bar. The speakers were farther apart. I used the Weem Pro as my source, directly plugged into the back of the active speaker by coax cable. And to be quite honest, I got some really nice results. I wasn't shocked. I mean, I could tell from the build quality, especially with the construction of the cones and the finish and everything, I had a feeling that good things were going to happen. But I found these speakers to be highly detailed, which I guess you could expect with an aluminum tweeter and a waveguide. Highly detailed, and the bass was solid. Okay, yeah, is it going to put out as much bass as my Klipsch Forte 4s? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's possible. I don't think you can expect that. But the bass was satisfactory, and it depended on the source. These are very revealing speakers, and I think that's why they're called transparent, because on sources that maybe weren't recorded very well or recorded thin, you're not going to get that bass response. But then I put on some stuff. I was listening to some Shelby Lynn. Yeah, I was listening to some Shelby Lynn. What else was I listening to? I don't remember now. Oh yeah, I was playing a lot of songs from Apple Music. I had a playlist of the TV show The Lowdown with Ethan Hawke. You guys watch that show? It's pretty good. It's pretty darn good. The soundtrack is amazing. I was listening to a lot of J.J. Cale today. You know what? I haven't listened to a lot of J.J. Cale, and now I kind of understand where Mark Knopfler got his vibe and where Eric Clapton gets his vibe. They must be both J.J. Cale freaks. How have I missed out on J.J. Cale? Put it in the comments below if you like J.J. Cale. I got a whole new artist to explore now. I never thought about it. Anyway, the stuff sounded great. A lot of transparency, a lot of detail, decent bass. The speakers disappeared in this room. My listening position was over there. The speakers disappeared in this room. And I was getting, because I was in the near field, I was getting sound back here. I was getting that depth back here by this, just about where this picture of me and Rick Springfield from the 80s is hanging. A lot of sound was coming there. Dead center imaging. But I don't think you're going to be disappointed with these speakers on any level. If you put them on a shelf, there's a way to dig into the menu and adjust the bass so it doesn't boom too much. Decent price. There's going to be some competition there with Audio Engine and Klipsch, the 5s or whatever. I don't think Edifier, is that the company that I see on Amazon a lot? I don't think they can touch this. I could just tell. I've heard some, and just based on the stores I see Edifier in. No disrespect, but I think this is probably a step above. But again, we're talking about $700. Good connectivity, no HDMI, but you get Bluetooth, you get a sub out, you've got coax in, you've got optical in. Plug in your computer, have a ball, knock yourself out with the Vanatoo, designed in America in the
good old USA.
Transparent One Encore Plus. I got it right that time. See, it just takes a little practice. Gary and Rick are good people. Call them on the phone if you got any questions, they'll pick up and answer. Anyway, if you stuck with me this long, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're climbing the charts. As Casey Kasem would say, we're
going to #1.
Somehow. It's going to take a few years, but we'll get there. Let me get my hat so I can mosey on out of here. I want to thank you for watching, and if you've just got a couple more minutes, I've got another video that you might be interested in. It's going to pop up right here. You know the geniuses at YouTube? They're pretty smart. They know what you want to watch, and they've already pre-selected a video of mine for your perusal. All you have to do is click on it. It's that simple. It's going to pop up right there. Thanks again. I hope you have a great holiday season. I hope you have some great holiday tunes in the pipeline. I'll see you next time here in United States of Analog.
See you later.